Hey everyone, welcome to Meeple Bits. Thanks for joining me today. In today's how-to, we're going to tackle the game Pandemic Rapid Response. This game has you charged as a critical response team looking to deliver supplies around the world to destinations in need. It's a game for 2 to 4 players with a playtime of about 20 minutes. And I can say that at almost any player count, that's a pretty accurate assessment. So join me as we tackle this setup and how-to for the game Pandemic Rapid Response. So let's take a quick look at the components that are going to come out during the course of play. To begin, we have a sand timer, 2 minutes long. We have dice, one in 4 different colors for each player, 6-sided, each with a unique icon on each side. Player tokens, 1 in 4 player colors. Plain standee, time markers, and supply crates. There are 4 of each color, 5 total colors. Here we have the city cards, the roll cards, reference cards, and crisis cards. And lastly, we have the main play board. The main board is broken up into different sections depending on the type of supply that you need. And then there's also a waste marker, because once you create the supplies, it creates waste. So those are all the components. Let's go ahead and dive into setup. To begin setup, place the plane out in the middle of the table because we're going to place it in just a moment. Take your waste marker and put it on the far left space with the waste icon. Next, fill each of the rooms with their respective color of supply crates. So take the yellow cubes, placing them into the yellow room, the white cubes in the white room, so on and so forth. Once each room has the 4 supply tokens, take your sand timer, placing it into the headquarters or the table on the far right, and 3 time tokens also with the sand timer. Take the remaining time tokens, keep them off to the side because they may be used during the game. Next, shuffle the city cards, reveal one of them, and this is your starting position for the plane. So in this game, it's going to be Bogota. Set your plane on that card, discarding the card from the game. Then, determine the difficulty at which you want to play. That's going to determine how many cities are dealt out initially and for the rest of the game. In an easy setup, you're going to reveal 2 city cards, placing them face up, and then take 3 additional city cards and put them face down here. So in an easy game, we would reveal Delhi and Essen, and we would put these cards in their exact locations around the board. You can't see it, but it's all the way over there. Then take those other 3 cards for an easy game, putting them right here. If you're playing a normal game, you're going to reveal the same 2 cards face up around the board, but then put 5 cards into reserve. In a veteran game, you would put 3 cards around the board initially and 7 cards in the reserve. And for what is titled a heroic game, you would put 4 cards face up around the board and 9 in the city reserve. Next, take 2 roll cards and pass them to each player at the table. In this game, let's do a 2-player game. So I would deal 2 roll cards to 2 players. I would give them the color of their choice. Give them a pawn, the dice in their color, as well as a reference card in their color. Then each players will look at the 2 roll cards that they've been given, choosing one of the 2 cards to keep and discarding the other. And lastly, Decide if you're going to play with or without crisis cards. They add an extra element of challenge and complexity into the game and situations for the players to deal with. So maybe for your first game, I wouldn't recommend the crisis cards. Subsequent games, you'll be presented with things like take all dice from the board and place them on their owner's roll card. Or return any one crate from the cargo bay to its room. To give you an idea of the different types of crisis. For this demonstration, I will go ahead and include them to give you an idea of when and how they're going to be used. So shuffle the crisis deck and put them off to the side in a draw pile. And now setup is complete and you're ready to begin the game. But first, let's take a closer look at the city cards, the roll cards, and the crisis cards, so that you can have an understanding of their different iconography and what's going to come out. So diving a little bit closer into the crisis cards, they come in 3 different types. Immediate in blue, temporary in red, and a delivery in yellow. Immediates are going to be resolved immediately, such as move the plane 6 cities in the direction away from the closest city card. Once resolved, this is done. Temporary. Players must spend 1 additional plane result to fly. So this one is going to stay active until the next crisis comes out. And then delivery. Place this card on top of the closest city card. While this card is in play, you cannot discard the card below it. So this is going to stay in effect until the timer resolves, and then you can roll a new crisis card. Roll cards. In the upper right hand corner of the roll card is going to be a color. This indicates the room at which they're going to be placed. So example, this player would begin their starting on the main play board. They would place their token into the delivery room or the cargo room. This player would put themselves into the hydro room. And this player would put their starting marker into the recycle room. And lastly, cities. The city name and their colors are going to be printed on the top or the bottom, depending on the direction at which you're looking. In addition, are going to be areas in the center that show you exactly the type of cargo these destinations are in need of. Example, Australia needs 2 medkits and 2 vaccines. Nigeria needs 2 waste buckets, electricity, and water. So these are going to be the requirements needed in order to resolve these cities as you go from destination to destination. So how's the game played? Well, once you've got your players and your roles selected, make sure that they're put into the room that is indicated on the roll card. So example, I, as the gray player, would put myself into the cargo room, whereas green player over here would put themselves into the hydro room. So you can just put yourself anywhere in here. So let's take a look at the board. You'll notice there are doorways connecting the different rooms that go from end to end on the plane. So how is the game played? On your turn, you are going to roll the dice, any dice that you have in your hand, and you may re-roll any number of dice up to 2 additional times. So on your turn, you can roll a total of 3 times. How you're going to use and spend your dice. You're going to need to use a die to just move your pawn as needed. So example, I'm here in the cargo room, but let's say I wanted to be up here into the power room to get some power for Delhi. They need 3 electricity and 1 supply crate thing. So I would need to spend 2 dice in order to move into that room. Then I would be able to fill up the dice inside of this area. And that's how you're going to collect supply crates in order to put them into your cargo bay in order to deliver them to the destinations. When you roll the dice, these plane icons, as indicated here, will allow you to move the plane around the board. And you can do that in any direction, but you must fly in that direction, touching each space along the way. So on my turn, if I wanted to use this die, I would be able to move the plane 1 in either direction. Then if I've already spent 2 dice, for example, to move into that room, and I've spent this third dice, sorry, putting them on the wrong card, spent this third die to get into the power room. Now let's spend that one. I would then want to assign a die to this room, allowing me to re-roll this die up to 2 more times. I didn't get an additional power cell in order to power this. So how do you acquire the crates? Well, in each of the rooms, they've got different requirements. So for the power room, you'll notice you need 3 power dice in order to collect 1 cell. Once you have all 3 dice, and it could be your dice or it could be that of another player's, filling up all the spots or however many spots you want. You would then take the total number of crates available. So here you would be able to take 3 crates. Here you would take 1 crate, and here you take 2 crates. So if I only needed to take 1 crate, then I would be able to collect these dice and activate the room by spending another die. So you're going to be able to use the dice as indicated on your reference card to do any of those things. Move, fly, assign dice, and activate the room. Once the room has been activated, collect the number of supplies as indicated, putting them into the cargo hold, and then roll the dice. Anytime you receive a circular icon behind it, so it's going to be your planes, your waters, and your waste, your green wastes, these are going to increase the waste track that number. In order to remove waste, someone must be in the waste room, the recycle room, and assign unique dice icons, meaning you cannot assign 2 of the same type into any given room. So this would not be valid. The rolls must be unique. So as an example, here in the hydro room, your first 2 assigned dice get you nothing. You must assign a third dice in order to collect 2 crates from here to assign to the cargo bay. Then, as you guessed it, you need to be in the waste room in order to activate this room, and you need to be in the cargo room in order to deliver supplies to a destination when you arrive. Meanwhile, the timer is going down this entire time. Once the timer reaches 0, I guess, so once the timer runs out, you would then stop play, do not discuss in between turns, removing a time icon, or a time token, and then reveal a crisis card, resolve it. Then, when you're ready to begin, flip the timer and resume play. So that's everything on taking your turns, how to use and assign dice, and beating the clock. How does the game end? If the timer reaches 0 and there are no time icons left in the headquarters, the players lose. If the waste reaches the skull icon on the waste track, the players lose. The players win when they deliver supplies to a destination. So let's say I were to come here to Delhi. I then activate the cargo room, and I assign 3 power cells and a waste barrel. I'm able to then resolve this card off the board and gain 1 time token into the headquarters. Once the timer icon runs out as well, in addition to resolving a crisis, you're going to reveal one of the cards from the stack of city cards, and players win once they've been able to deliver supplies to all cities, the 2 starting cities that came out, and in this easy mode, the 3 additional cities here. And that's it. You're playing the game, you're rolling the dice, you're assigning the dice, you're moving the plane, you're moving the player, you're all trying to beat the clock to quickly deliver these crates and supplies. So let's go ahead and take a quick turn so that you can see what that might look like in real time. Now, this is a 2-minute timer, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it a little bit closer to myself. And once I begin this timer, then I'm going to roll all of my dice and just try to quickly figure out where it is that I need to go. So make sure that everything is back in its place. Good to go. So the timer would be over there. Crisis cards off to the side. There we go. And we are ready to begin play. So once again, on my turn, once the timer flips, I'm going to roll my dice. Then I'm going to use my dice and re-roll up to 2 times. Then once I have chosen not to do anything additional or cannot do anything additional, then it's the next player's turn. This timer is going to continue during the course of play until it reaches 0. So it's not like it gets reset during the next player's turn. So it's not like every player has 2 minutes. Everyone has this 2 minutes to use before you have to then resolve the next phase. So with that, let's go ahead and dive right in. Make myself some room and let's go. So I would roll my dice coming out the gate. Now, I do need to move the plane either over to Essen or around here to Delhi. So let's move one over to Delhi. One in that direction. So I'm going to spend this die, put it off to the side. I do, like I said, need to get into the power room. So I'm going to spend these 2 dice to move 1, 2 into that room. And then I'm going to re-roll 1 time. I got 2 more planes, so let me go ahead and move myself 1, 2 closer to a destination. And then I'm going to re-roll 1 other time. I didn't get the icon that I needed. So I'm going to pause myself just for a moment. So my turn would then be complete. Now, had I have assigned dice to this room, let's just pretend for a moment that I did get 2 power cells to assign to this room. On my next turn, I now only have 4 dice to work with. The only way that I get these dice back is if this room is activated. Once a room gets activated, then all players take back their colored dice. So then it would be green player's turn. So this didn't happen, but just giving you guys a quick example. So then I would be able to, on my next turn, I would have had these dice on my roll card. Now, my roll, though, my special ability, which I can use once per turn, this player can re-roll your dice 2 additional times each turn. So I would have likely wanted to activate that power, thus rolling my dice 2 more times. And then I would have got this power cell and I would have assigned it. So next turn, I would only have 5 dice to roll with. So it's now green player's turn, and green player started in the Hydro room in accordance to their card. And their special power is, during your turn, you can place 1 of your dice in HQ. During any other player's turn, they can assign that die to their room or spend it to move or fly. So that's kind of a cool ability to have for the team. So let's go ahead and resume this timer, and now it's second player's turn. So very quickly, they would come out with their initial roll. Now we do need, over here on Essen, we need 4 different types of icons. So they're in the Hydro room, so let's go ahead and try to get some Hydro crates. So I'm going to go ahead and assign these 2 Hydro here, and then I am going to spend the plane to move it 1 more. And then I'm going to re-roll these dice 1 time. I didn't get the Hydro that I needed, but I'm going to use my power and put this die into HQ so that I can use it over here, and then re-roll 2 times. I didn't get a Hydro, so that's my turn. Back to the next player, or if there's a third player at the table, it's their turn. So they're going to quickly roll, and I got, 3 of what I needed in a different room. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and spend these 2 dice, move over there 1, 2, and go ahead and assign all 3 of these dice into this room. What happens then is I don't have any dice to activate the room, so my turn would be complete. So the next player is going to go, and because I went ahead and filled up the room, they're going to go ahead and do their initial roll and then spend a die to activate this room. Now that this room is activated, we get to take 3 supply crates out of the room and put them down into the cargo hold. So now we've got 3 waters ready to be delivered anywhere around the table. And just like that, the timer is out. So we would stop play immediately once the timer is completed. So this player will be able to finish their turn in just a moment, but we must first resolve the timer. So I would check to see if I have any time cubes left or time tokens, and I do. I would discard one of them. Then I would reveal a city card. Mexico City. Oh man, we just left that area, but I would put that over there. Then I would reveal a crisis, move each pawn to its starting room. Okay, so this player gets sent all the way back there. This player stays exactly where they were, and actually, that probably worked out in our favor, discarding the crisis, and then flipping the timer and resuming play. So very quickly, I've spent a die here to activate this room, so I'm going to grab all 5 of these dice, roll them, and any circles, 1, 2, is going to, this would have been down here, is going to increase the waste track. And then play continues. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this one. I really hope you have a good idea of how this game is played. So I'm going to go ahead and tear down the table, and stay tuned, guys, and I'm going to bring you my afterthoughts. Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that setup and how-to for the game Pandemic Rapid Response. So let's jump into my afterthoughts, starting with the components. Well, the components are really good, especially for its price. I want to say I actually picked this game up for maybe $15, so pretty good deal, especially because the dice are all good quality, good size. The cards are, good stock, good finish. The cubes, they seem that like they'll hold up over time. So everything about the game and its components, pretty good. What some things that I liked and didn't like about the game? So I guess something that I did enjoy about the game is, the critical response, or the fast-paced and how quickly that it plays, really good. The challenge factor, even on easy mode, could be challenging. So I say that because, in a few playthroughs, and I played it on easy, right? Depending on where you start and then where the other cards are going to be initially dealt, can radically change really the difficulty of the game. So even though you've got 2 starting cards and then 3 additional city cards, that first card where your plane starts and then where the 2 cities are, it seems like for me, I'm always on the opposite end of a board. So I need to travel so far just to get to the first city to deliver some supplies to. So that sort of just luck factor, great for replayability, keeping it fresh, keeping it new, keeping it different, but an added level of challenge that I'm not sure if it was entirely intended in that way. But with that, the quick pace and everything else, easy enough to play, also very enjoyable. What's a reason why you may want to add this to your collection? Well, because you enjoy a quick game, you like the pandemic theme, and you like these kind of quick-paced, quick dice rollers, beating a clock style game. Reasons you may not, another reason you want to add it to your collection is because of the tiers of difficulty and kind of how they keep that different for every playthrough is also pretty cool. So you can either add crisis cards or keep them out. You can add more cities to increase difficulty or keep them out. So having that differentiation for different playability, play styles, and different style of players is really good. Reason why you may not want to add it to your collection is, and I've said this about similar style games where you're fighting against a clock. A lot of the time is consumed just moving things. So example, if you're moving the plane, and sure enough, there might be other players at the table who could handle that as well, but a reason why you may not want to add these style of games to your collection is because, in my personal opinion, they almost need a moderator. Someone to watch the sand timer, someone to assign the cubes when you're looking to do it, someone to move the plane, someone to clear the cards, someone to hand back quickly the different colored dice to the different players. All of these things are time consuming. So, example, when you are activating a room to grab the supply cubes to assign to the cargo hold, you're taking every dice that's in there, your color, everyone's color, you're rolling them. Then once you do it, you're moving the waste track. Then you're handing back dice, or people are taking back their dice. And this is critical time that the next player can't necessarily do their turn yet. So that frustrates me to almost no end. And I guess with that, it's not a game that I can personally recommend. I had an okay time playing it, but I had more of a frustrating time playing it. Not that I don't mind beating a clock or anything, but again, not having a moderator on the games is a frustrating factor, because when you lose by such slim margins, like, oh man, one more turn, we probably could have got that last city, so to speak. Having a moderator would have clawed back that necessary time to where you could have beat it. So I've actually lost more than I've won. and maybe that's a reason why I don't necessarily want to recommend it. But take it as you will. Those are just my thoughts on these style of games where you're beating a clock. Try to have a moderator, or someone who is able to easily handle the assignment of all the pieces. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. If you have any questions or comments about the game, please leave them down below. I'm happy to answer them and help out as best that I can. If you've enjoyed the content, I do appreciate the support. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out a lot. And as always, everyone, until next time, thanks so much for watching.